How's it going, Rad TV? I'm excited to be here for year 3 of Chicory Week, or I guess year 1 of Chicory Rad TV. I have always enjoyed chicories. It's been, a long time. Probably my first real memory of them is working in New York City at a restaurant called Voce with Chef Andrew Carmelini. And I remember having a salad that we made there and really enjoying it, and it really sort of sticking out to me in just terms of how the flavors, the textures, and how it went with some of the other richer pasta dishes that we served with it. And I loved that it was something that you can get in the winter, and I think that salad was mixed chicories with pistachios and citrus segments, blue cheese maybe, I can't remember, but it was delicious. And I'm sure that I had chicories before that, but that was kind of one of my first real memories of it. It was probably about 20 years ago. And since then, some form of chicory I've tried to have on every menu that I've been in charge of since then. I got a little bit more into it in Portland, where I had, in the Pacific Northwest, we obviously have such great access to it. And then moving up to Seattle about 4 years ago, been working with Local Roots since then, and just sort of lucked into working with them in terms of the amount of chicories that they're able to grow up here, and it's really been awesome. At Post Alley Pizza, which I run with my wife, who's filming very well. We have a couple of small salads on the menu year round, and almost year round we have chicories from Local Roots, and it's pretty much up 75% of what we use. A lot of the time it's 100% of what's in the salad is mixed chicories. It's sort of interesting that there was some pushback initially. It wasn't something that our customers were used to, but now that we just use it almost exclusively, no one says anything, and I think that's a really great sign that it's becoming a little bit more popular and people are enjoying it. So what we made is some Treviso kraut. I have always sort of thought that I wanted to make some and try it. The Treviso works pretty well. It's got that sort of hearty, thick, sturdy rib, and the texture holds up pretty well. So I was pretty happy with, pleasantly surprised with it. The reason that I wanted to make that, one, just for preserving purposes, but really it came from wanting to make a Pacific Northwest sort of version of one of my favorite sandwiches from Philadelphia, which is the roast pork and broccoli rabe. And broccoli rabe not as delicious, and I love that, but not as readily available here as different chicories are, which we can kind of have almost year round. And so we made a real basic kraut. I added a little bit of caraway just because I like that flavor. It's Treviso. We've done a couple different batches, but I did a batch that I currently have and which I really like. We did 3.5% salt of the weight of the Treviso. And I got it started with a little bit of our pizza dough I threw in the bottom. I honestly don't know if that does anything, but someone was telling me about that a lot years ago, making sauerkraut. A good friend of mine, Kyle Swanson, down in Portland, and I've been doing it ever since. And maybe it does something and helps the fermentation process, but I just like doing it. It's a water-sealed fermenting crock, which is really the best, in my opinion, the best thing to use for this. Really important that you get it real clean and dry. We have a bunch of Treviso right here from our friends at Local Roots. We have all of our other little ingredients, 2 scales, very important. We're gonna add a little caraway to this. We've got salt, and that's it. That's all that's gonna go in there. For the Treviso, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split it right down the middle, and I'm just gonna cut thin strips of it. Get everything down almost to the core. A very important part of the process here is teamwork, because teamwork does in fact make the dream work. We're just grinding up the caraway, and then we're going to get to mixing the Treviso kraut. Okay, so we've got all the Treviso cut up, weighed that out. So our recipe is going to be the Treviso, which is going to be considered 100% of the weight. And then we're going to do salt, 3.25%, and we're going to do caraway, 0.7%. I'm going to mix all this together here, just sort of loosely, and then we're going to pack it into the crock. One thing that I am going to do, this might just be an old wives' tale, taking a piece of sourdough and putting that at the bottom of the crock, especially since this is dough that we make here. It's going to just hopefully get this process started in this environment. So we got that right here. I'm just going to drop that into my nice clean crock. Drop some down in there. Once we get a little bit in there, then I'm going to punch it down. So I got that all packed down, and I'm going to clean up the edges up here a little bit, and then we'll pour in some water into this well, and then we'll put the lid on it, and we're gonna let it go for probably 2 weeks or so. I'll check it every couple of days. The water will evaporate and you have to add some more water. And after a couple of days, I'll come back and check it, and I'll punch it down, again. And in about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more, depending on the weather, we'll have some Treviso kraut. So we've got it full here. You can see this has been going for about a week and a half. We're gonna let it go for probably at least another week. It's broken down. The rib is still pretty sturdy. It's got some crunch to it. Really pretty awesome natural sourness from the fermentation. And I'm pretty stoked to put it all together at some point in the near future on a roast pork sandwich with some of the bread, some of the dough that we'll make rolls with, and we got it going. So Rad TV, I hope you guys are enjoying everything. Thanks for having me again. Chicory Week, and we'll talk to you again soon.